Hi, this is John Servin, and I'm doing my presentation on Asian American ethnicity. That was my adopted ethnicity. And I'm going to be talking about Asian culture and just Asian Americans today in our society. And so, my wife is the person who viewed the website, and she came up with 3 questions, and she is going to ask me those questions, and I'll be answering them for the first part of this video.
Hi, I'm John's wife. I'm videotaping. I was the one that checked out his website about Asian Americans, and I really liked it. I did have 3 questions, though, for him. The first question was, what was the anti-Asian legislation?
So the anti-Asian legislation were laws that prohibited many Asians from different nationalities, Japanese, Korean, Chinese, from coming to the United States, from migrating to the United States. Basically, there were just federal laws that cut down immigration, like I mentioned, and basically could not become American. And so that was pretty prevalent in the 1800s, where many Asians were migrating to America, and just Americans didn't want them to come. So they had these anti-Asian legislation laws restricting them from coming. And it wasn't basically till 1943 that these anti-Asian legislation laws were reversed, and that more and more Asians could come in. There was a quota of how many Asians could come in that year. Specifically in 1943, about 105 Asians were admitted to the United States every year. So pretty harsh anti-Asian relations laws that restricted Asians from coming to America, and so that's basically what it is.
Okay. The next question I had for you was about how Asians act when they're being discriminated against, and the question was, do you think it's good that the Asians are passive about when faced with discrimination?
Personally, I don't think it's good for them. Obviously, we know that Asians are very passive, very submissive, very weak. And so I think that them being passive kind of just lets others take advantage of them and discriminate them, because they think they won't retaliate or do anything to get back, because obviously they're Asian. And so I think that it's not a good thing. They need to stand up for their race and defend themselves. So obviously you don't want anyone discriminated against you. If you were discriminated against, would you want to just be passive and cool about it and lax and not do anything, or would you actually speak up and let them know why you don't want them, or why don't you like the discrimination that is being thrown at you? And so I don't think it's good that they're passive.
Okay. The second part to my question was, what do you think would happen if Asian Americans were more aggressive about their being discriminated against?
I think 2 things would happen. First and foremost, many would see them as different. They would see them as just very retaliated. So I think if they were to act more aggressive, I think many Americans would see them differently. They would think of them as, they're standing up for their race, and they are very determined to defend themselves. So it would be a shock to a lot of people if Asians were able to react aggressively. Obviously, they would be shocked, and they would possibly either stop discriminating or continue and just see what happens there. So I think a lot of things would happen positively, as in it would be good, because they would see that, hey, they are normal like us, they are people. And 2, they possibly could think of them as, whoa, they're Asian and they're acting aggressive, then they might not like him and continue on discriminating.
Okay. I had one more question for you, and I was just a little confused. Can you explain to me what model minority means?
Yeah, absolutely. So The model minority is a definition that refers to a minority group, specifically Asians, um, which are often perceived to achieve a higher degree of success than the population average. So Asians are seen as the model minority, kind of a role model minority group that other minorities can follow because they're really successful in school education. They're very intelligent. Because they're intelligent and they go to school, they get really jobs that pay good money, low crime rates, family stability. There's just some things that a lot of Asians do that kind of model the way for other minorities to follow. So they're just the model minority for other minorities to follow because they're for a perfect example to follow.
Okay, so like a role model, kind of?
Yeah, exactly, a role model. Role model for other minorities to aspire to because of the success they're attaining as minorities in America today.
All right, thank you for answering my questions.
Alrighty, so the next thing that I want to talk to you about is we're going to talk to you about just Asian American culture and in general the things that were on the website here that we learned. And so this website consisted of me being adopted to the Asian American culture and just the things that I came to learn throughout the semester as we researched and got to know more about the Asian culture. And so one of the things that this website consists of, first and foremost, is human variation. That is one tab. Just a variation of how many Americans in society today see Americans living amongst us. How that varies in the common stereotypes that Asians have today and the discrimination they face today, why they're segregated, why are they targeted amongst people, especially cops, and just some of the things that characterizes them and their qualities and how they're seen in American society, especially if we're talking the model minority myth that they have because they are indeed the model minority. The next tab in the website here is specifically the just ethnic conflict and just some of the things that Asians are dealing with right now because of their presence in our society today. Specifically, Asians today are having the difficulty of having stress, mental challenges because of the children that are born here when they migrate to America and having the choice of raising them a certain way, either adopting old U.S. or Asian culture or U.S. culture or both. And so that's just one of the things that is going on right now. Just the children in the family, because the Asians have a really strong family stability, and so they want to maintain that. And just kind of this challenge when they come to a new country, adopting whether the old culture or the new culture. The next slide or the next tab here is just the history of the immigration of Asians to America. And like we were talking about earlier, the laws that excluded many Asians migrating from their country for better economic opportunities to America are very prevalent. And so just being the other or the enemy when they come here, many American white, the majority, truly saw them as the other foreign alien. And just the overview of the immigration of Asians to America. And the last tab is the matrix of domination, which is a corresponding system of inequality that are interconnected, if that makes sense. And so basically it's a concept that draws the attention of privilege, because many groups in society today have a privilege or move up in the ladder of the ladder of matrix, whether it be in education, housing, and just how well they progress up that ladder based on their race, if that makes sense. And so I just wanted to expound just on a couple of things here. um, that many Asian Americans are facing today, many of the obstacles that they're facing today, and their inequality in American society today. Um, First and foremost, I just want to start off by just going over some things that characterize Asian Americans and the stereotype they have, because indeed these stereotypes are some of the obstacles that a lot of Asians are facing. First and foremost, the two common stereotypes that they're facing today are that Asians work hard and that Asians are bad drivers. Those are just common stereotypes that many Asians face today in our society. Two types of discrimination that they face today also is just residential segregation, where they are segregated to certain areas because of their race. Obviously, we have Chinatown, specifically California and New York are the biggest states that have the most Asian population. And so Chinatown is run down, obviously, and so they're kind of segregated into those areas where they come in, both coasts from their mainland. Racial profiling, just that's a concept where they're singled out because of their race. Specifically, cops racial profile Asians because they might be bad drivers and they might pull them over, and so that's just another thing that they are dealing with. Some of the common things that Asians face today is the model minority myth, like we talked about. They're the model minority for other minorities because of their intelligence or education. They're very hard-working people, and so that's just some of the things that they also face. Some of the characteristics that many Asian Americans in society have are they're very smart. Obviously, we know that parents stress education and just very disciplined when it comes to getting an education above anything else. And so some of the qualities that they have are, they're very submissive, they're very weak, they're very uninvolved, they don't associate much, they're foreign accents, they speak funny English, and so those are kind of the things that just holds them back as well, because of those stereotypes that we have kind of labeled on them already, if that makes sense. And also the media is another important source that kind of just hinders them as well. The media portrays Asians as very just common stereotypes that we've been talking about. They're very smart. They work with computers. They're villains. They're kung fu fighters, masters, and so those are just some of the things that they face right now in American society today. And just one thing that I wanted to tap on as well, back on how they're viewed in American today, is obviously their attributes are they're filthy, they're foreign, they're alien. The qualities that we talked about, they're harmless, reserved, weak, submissive. So that's kind of why a lot of people take advantage of them too, and they kind of dehumanize them as well, seeing them as baboons and foreign aliens that they could just stare at because they're so different. And just to finish off, the thing that I wanted to talk to you about is just two things here. First and foremost, the matrix of domination is very, very important. Because of their race, because of their stereotypes, because of how people see them, they have a really hard time moving up in the ladder of success and in society. Because of that, crime, media, education, family, housing, all affects them in these areas because of how they're viewed, how they're discriminated. And so there's just something very, very important to know about them. Working place, how they're viewed in the media, and the facts that we learned here on the website, how they're viewed. And so the last question I just want to talk about real quick is discussing the question, can racism be eliminated? Personally, for me, I feel that racism will never be eliminated. It can be managed, but completely eliminated, it will not happen. One of the things that is very important to know is that racism, no matter who you are, it's always going to be in the back of your mind. Obviously, you're never going to openly discriminate, but in your head, you're always going to wonder. they're different than me. They're not like me. Their characteristics are different. So within ourselves and within our community, we can manage to treat others, make goals to treat others the same. Be nice, be involved, talk to them, help them feel welcome so that they aren't reserved and associated with us. And so there's going to be people though who are always going to discriminate, who are always going to be the ones to discriminate against them, say negative, derogatory things. And so to conclude, I just want to share a quote that Gordon B. Hinckley mentioned about how no matter what race or color another person may be, if you say something derogatory, negative, or that just puts that race down, you are not a disciple of Christ. And so I just want to say, get to know Asians. Asian is a rich culture. They have rich history, and I know that as you do, you will appreciate them more and know who they are and be able to talk to them and know where they come from and how we can treat them. And that is my presentation on Asian Americans and the website and the questions. Thanks.